You're listening to Redman in the House. Hey, it's a podcast. Come back to another exciting episode of Redman in the House. It's a podcast. I'm Richard Bronson Vickery, RBV, and I am joined by the one, the only, the man with the plan. Hey, we got a lot to cover today. It is the holiday season. Redman, welcome back to your show, brother.
I appreciate that, Richard. I want to wish everybody, hope they had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year since we're taping this on New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve, the countdown is on. The holidays are here. It is the season to be grateful. And I said, so many great happenings out there across the board in the world of drag racing. We're going to jump into some of those developments that we're looking forward to in 2026. So many awesome things going on here where we sit and record at the VFW 7570 in Harrison, Ohio. But I think, of all those things that are going on, I, again, am so thankful sitting here with, man, we are just over a week away, man. It is almost here. We're going to be able to officially call you an NHRA Hall of Famer.
I am very excited about it. I really am humbled. It's a special honor, and there'll be so many great people, fellow workers I've been with, and so many great racers. Division III's had loads and loads of great racers over the years.
Well, Redman, let's talk. You're anticipating. We were talking a little bit off there, how you're prepping and what it's going to mean to be up there and to be a part of that big extravagant event. But can you share with us, how they broke the news to you, how you found out, and really that rush of emotion that you went through when you got the nod? Hey, you're going to be a Hall of Famer.
Well, I was down in Nashville. Faye and I were down there vacationing, and I looked on my phone, and I had a text message from Will, the division director of Division III. And he said, give me a call when you get a chance. And so I went to where it was a little quieter, and I gave him a call. I thought maybe, about the schedule for next year where they could use me and I can help out. And he said, we're redoing the Division III Hall of Fame, and we have nominated Irvin Johns and you as to be our two recipients. And I said, really?
Wow.
Yeah, it was a shock. I mean, it was like, it's the greatest honor you could ever have to be in such a position to get a chance to be in a Hall of Fame is like, I'm lost for words per se right now, but it's really exciting for me.
Now, what do you think? We've touched a little bit going all those years back in the 70s when you started working at the track and going up to work those big events up there at Indy, and your name grows throughout all of the sport of drag racing. Did you ever really dream? Obviously, probably dreamed about this, but think, hey, man, this could be a reality for me.
I dreamed about it. I didn't know the reality about it, but it's always something you look forward to be honored by your peers and selected as something like this. You'd figure baseball players, football players, they all get nominated, and you see their ceremonies when they go in, how honored they are and humbled with all the players that's been through each sport, and it's the same way with drag racing. We've got numbers probably double what the professional sports are. To be picked out of all these numbers it's an honor. It's really, truly an honor for me.
Very, very, very cool. Anybody that you're looking forward to catching up with while you're up there and really just
a lot of the racers,
enjoying the moment with?
A lot of the racers, and then my fellow at the time, my fellow Division III workers, they'll be there and get to talk to some of them. Travis Miller, hopefully he'll be there. He's in the Hall of Fame, a very well representative for it. And then, of course, my great buddy, Leo Tower, the announcer, he was inducted, and Jay, the former Division III director. And it's like I say, an honor to be inducted with those guys. And Irvin Johns, what a great racer Irvin was. Super stock, a true ambassador of the sport, went all over the country, raced for championships, sponsored cars. So it's a great recipient. Irvin is well deserved of getting it, Irvin Johns.
Yeah, I think people can kind of see here in the background, we got the beautiful VAR here getting ready to go for the day here at the VFW. No stranger to kicking back and having a few ice cold ones. Any favorite party spots that you're looking forward to when you get up there to Indy with everybody?
Well, I'm not sure yet. My buddy's coming down. Cyrus the Virus, as everybody knows him, Brad. So we're probably going to go out to dinner Friday night and we might hit a bar or two and then see what happens. But it'll be exciting to see him there. And then, you're talking about career. This just ended 54 years of doing something in racing as an official, and it's been a long time.
Well, you see, 54 years, but you're not done yet because you're still helping out in some ways here. You've got some big events you're going to be a part of in 2026. We're going to talk about those momentarily. I think that's a good transition. Again, we're going to give the full rundown. You're going to be going up there. It's January 10th for your ceremony, the induction.
Right.
Hall of Famer, brother. That is so cool. We're probably going to have a multi-part episode to try to cover that entire experience and your interactions with everybody up there. I'm sure we'll have a ton of photos and video to share of what that's like for you. Looking forward to that. Keep your eyes and ears open for that here on Redman in the House. It's a podcast, future episodes here about that big Hall of Fame induction. But as we transition here, conversation today, it is New Year's Eve.
Yes, it is.
And it's a time where everybody kind of looks back at the year was and looks towards the year ahead and it makes those resolutions and all that. So let's start with 2025, Redman. What do you think were some of let's start with the positives for the sport of drag racing in 2025? Big things out there that really excited you about where the sport is going.
I think, there's more tracks coming involved, which is coming into the future too, but there's going to be so many great places that the racers go. I mean, every track has history. Every track is something special and you look forward going to. A lot of times with travel expenses, it makes it hard on the racer to get to everyone they want to go to. But the positives of this year, I think there was a lot of great racing. The World Finals got kind of cut short because of weather related, but I think the season all in all had a lot of great racing, a lot of new winners. And it's just great for the sport. You got some of the older guys winning, some of the newer kids coming on the block. They're winning, and it's just been great for the sport to see all the new cars out there. When you think, is there really going to be drag racing? And the next thing you know, here's a bunch of new class coming right out of, say, like high school here, and it's really great. It's really, really something to see, and I think 26 is going to be even bigger.
It's great. It is that you mentioned in 2025, you see a lot of new winners and new cars making their run. That's one of the things, at Edgewater, we love when there's new faces there in the winner's circle or they're in the money. And it means that you're doing something, that there's people that want to get out there and get to the competitive side of things. And I think a lot what lends to that growth is the great development and attention inside of the junior drag racing league.
Oh, yeah. Well, without the juniors, we would probably be falling short on cars and the sport might die a little bit. But with the juniors, it's give us a new development. It's kind of like, I guess you would call it the minor leagues. They're down there, they're learning. Yes, the cars aren't as fast, but they're learning how to operate being in a car, how to operate a safe car, how to work on their car, work and do this stuff and what it takes to be in the bigger car. And I think it's like shop class, or say in high school. I don't want to
sell those young competitors short at all. You want to talk about some serious competition.
Oh, yeah.
High edge, you better be ready to go. They are hungry in that junior class. But, also with that is the great camaraderie.
Oh, yeah.
That goes along that you see across all the sport of drag racing.
Right. And with that junior program, you figure they go to Bristol. And this is like kind of the World Series and playoffs for a lot of kids. And I got a good friend down there. We call him Cowboy, Kurt Smith. He works it. And he said the kids are just so exciting to be there. And he's kind of like he makes them lift their hands, make sure they got their arm restraints on, little things, and teases them a little bit and makes it more fun for them. And it's just a big experience to where they learn there what it's like to really go to a bigger event. And now, Dad, how about a bigger car? Let's go to something bigger. And there's a lot of kids coming out of there. J.R. Todd, Randy Lynn Ship, they all come out of the junior drag racing league. JR's in a funny car. And Randy Lynn, she's driven about everything from Mountain Motor Pro Stock down. And she's killer in stock, super stock. You better watch her when you pull up beside her. And her sister's coming on and she's running. And Joey ran one, her brother. So there's a lot of kids coming out of those ranks that are really, really bad. They're really good.
They get on it. It is big time competition, but again, awesome camaraderie there. But let me, as we look outside of the actual sport itself, and kind of society in automobiles, and you see the trends getting away from that raw power. We've got the electric cars, everything goes to sleep with, So do you see that in the future posing any problems for drag racing? Because we just don't have like those muscle cars out there anymore.
Well, I think the factories have come back out with the what they call factory stock, which I don't know how many you've got to see, running at the local level, but it's revitalized stock and super stock a little bit. You got your new Camaros, new Challengers, your new Mustangs, and they put on quite a show, which I think's helped revitalize the big cars. Electric cars, I think there'll be a place for them, but I don't know how much excitement, how many people will be into it, because I'm not a negative guy, but we all like that sound. There's that sound, and you hear a funny car, or top fuel car running, or even a good high powered super stock car. It's just, there's nothing.
I remember the first time I experienced one of the jets,
and
I was down there on the starting line, and with an individual mentor of mine that taught me so much, in old Cleon, and we're standing down there at the start line. And I look over, I said, but my bones didn't rattle, my organs shifted. I mean, you just don't feel anything like that raw power. You ain't going to get that electric car, but
I've started jets, and trust me, man, when you're standing in between two of them, you talk about getting about blowed out of your shoes. I mean, when they leave, you really don't think much of it. And then when that thing kicks in, it's like, holy moly, they are a neat show. And I think one of the better shows I like is the trucks. You get the big tractor trucks like old Bob Moats and I forget who a couple of the others were. They were bad. They were neat because they get them rocking. They do that woof, woof. And he'd sit there and he would do a Halloween deal at Norwalk, and they turn out the lights. And the only lights on the track is him. And he's leaping up there, and they got the spooky music playing. And it's quite a show to see when he would do that show. And he'd go down through there. They'd have lights down, down towards the finish line to where he could see where he's going. But the starting line, it made the Halloween atmosphere.
Well, it reminds me of like Cool Bus or Nitro Mike.
Oh, yeah.
The wheel stand just out there putting on that show. Nitro Mike, I mean, he's one of the best showmen in sport entertainment that I've seen anywhere. He gets those crowds rocking.
We had a guy, I think it was E.J. Potter or something like that. Somebody send in and correct me on it, but had a 327 V8 on a motorcycle. And he'd be up on his kickstand, right? And they'd have it fired up, and then he'd rev it up, and they'd drop that kickstand, and off he'd go. And it was a crazy show. He was neat to watch. Had 327, and he'd haul ass down through there. It was neat to see.
That is very, very cool. We're looking at 2025. Some of those highlights, we're seeing growth. Tracks are reopening. There's investors coming in. We're going to talk a little more about that. Some things happening for 2026. Kids getting involved. We're seeing new faces. Those are all big positives. On the flip side of that coin, are there some things where maybe you've seen across the board that maybe were setbacks, and maybe have some suggestions how we can get those on the right track for 2026?
Well, I think all the TV coverage packages need to be enhanced a little bit. They all do a good job, but I sometimes I think they don't really get the people involved like if you were really there. And I think, and announcers are trying to do a good job.
Fan interaction,
right?
To get people excited about it, get out, just not from the television set, to get out to the tracks and things like that.
Right. And then there's a little thing. It's the little things like car names. Back when I was in this game, there was car names. And I'm sure folks out there remember, you had the Blue Max, you had Don, the Snake Perdome, you had the Trojan Horse, Red Baron, Orange Baron. I mean, there was cars, Chi-Town Hustler, and that got people excited. It's not saying somebody's name, sponsored by, which is all good and has to be done because, that's what they get the bucks for. But it's neat when it got a name, car name, guy's name, gal's name, Shirley, Cha-Cha Maldonado. When you sit there and you hear that, you're like, whoa, wait a minute. Jungle Pam, one of the famous backup girls, Mad Maxine in today's time, backup girl, Mad
Good
Maxine.
friend of ours, right. Mad Maxine. Yeah,
See,
she brings them in.
She's got the name, and what's her car that she backs up? Mad Max. And it's just, that gets the people into it, gets them involved in it. I think we need to get back to that a little bit. And I think if we do that, it'll get the young folks drawn in, because
it's that excitement. It's the branding aspect of it. It's characters, and you're giving stories behind, behind the drivers, and then you really get into that, and it just adds to the overall energy of the event.
Even sportsmen. I mean, we got sportsmen that had names. Their cars had names. I remember Noel El Camino was called the Guinea Pig. He ran iStock automatic at Edgewater. Neat car. They would have cars, Business Machine, Time Machine, and Wrecking Crew, Granny Goose. And it's like you go on Apricot Brandy. And you're in another sport, famous sport, wrestling. And what's them wrestlers?
You got them crazy over the top gimmicks,
right?
Those ring names.
You got the game, and you got different ones in wrestling, and that's what gets them people pumped up in the stands. They start looking around, and the game, and
they come up with that energy. They get them feet stomping there on the grandstands. That energy. They can feel that there behind that wheel. They're putting on that show. You talk about naming the cars there. I really a group that I really love is the Scott Rods.
Oh
yeah, because they all have that, man. You got like the Cosmic Ray. One of my favorites there, the Gas Hole. Getting out there putting on a show. But even down to that sports room, one of my favorite calls each and every race day, and he's always making a run for it. 2-time world champion Brian Hendrickson.
Oh yeah,
in that damned old yellow demon. You can get into that, and the crowd can feed off of that. You mentioned Mad Maxine, and what a showman that she is. Absolute beauty, but her intelligence. Where she's at in the sport. And she'll testify. She'll tell you, that she had to hit the books and learn the sport inside and out, and how much pride she takes. When people come up in the pits and want to talk to the crew and all that, she can field all those questions.
Oh yeah, and that makes it so nice, and people, and she's a great ambassador. Like say when the guys are thrashing on the car, she's out there. And if people can walk up and be personable with her, autograph, picture taken, whatever. You see her pictures a lot on Facebook, where she's been with kids and different aspects of the race. And that's what it takes. That's one thing I think our sport has over all of them. A lot of us can't get up and close and personal to a baseball player, football player.
You're not going to go ask, here in Cincinnati on the sideline, Zach Taylor, what the heck were you thinking?
Right.
You're not going to ask Ellie, man, what are you looking for the curve? But you can do that.
Right. In drag racing, you can talk to every driver, every crew chief, if he's available, every person that's involved in the car you could talk to and reach out to, and they're so wanting you to have your picture taken with the car. Baseball players, you got to kind of have a contact information somehow to reach out to them. Say Joe Burrow. How am I going to get to Joe Burrow? I'm just Redman.
Well,
he don't know me.
You show up in Paycor, you flash them Hall of Fame credentials. They let Redman in. For the average, no pun intended. Also, for average Joes, we can't get to that, Joe.
Exactly. But any spectator in drag racing can get to anybody, anytime, and it's great. I mean, that's how I was when I started spectating. I mean, when I first started working a national event, take you back to a story, I would read the dragster, and I know folks will remember, and that's another thing we need to get back to that's hard to get to, back to race car magazines. Used to be race car magazines. You'd study all these people, look through them, plus the hot rods, street rods, whatever. And you'd go to a national event, like when I worked staging lanes, I got working in the back, and I met a guy named Jim Baburka, great Division I racer out of Pittsburgh area. And Jim was a bad dude. I mean, he ran stock, super stock division champion multiple times. I don't know if he ever won the world. I think maybe he did once. And Jimmy's a great guy, him and his wife. I'll never forget, I said, Jim Bakabura. And he looked at me and said, what'd you say? I said, Jim Bakabura. I said, I read about you all the time. And in Dragster, he says, it's Baburka. And we crack up to this day about that story, how I butchered up his name. But it was a hoot. And I could talk to him, and they come into the pits and, hey, Redman, and it just built up for me. That was the excitement. I got to meet people. I got to be with these people. That's a part of the history of me. I've got to be with so many great Scarlets and Prudhomme, and you name them, I've been around them, Glidden, and great people. Every one of them's great people. Yeah, they have their good days and bad days. Racing's not going well, kind of stay away, let them settle down. when it's back to normal, then they're all accessible, and they love doing what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm all for, again, more of the Bugs, the backup girls. Hey, how about 2026? We get you out there in some short shorts as a backup dude.
We don't want people to leave. We want them to come. So, but I do try to get out there for the one organization I work for on helping park their cars. I go out for their veterans thing, and they do a big veterans deal that's really nice. And I try to support that because being a veteran and being here commander of the VFW here in Harrison, I try to do everything I can for veterans myself.
That's another thing I would like to see at the tracks. You know, no matter where you're at, it's important to get connected with your community and maybe offer, you know, for the spectators, the Veterans Day.
Yes.
You know, or local youths, work with the local school districts or things like that.
Well, both organizations are great. Like, the NHRA's got, the YES program through the Army at the time, and teaches or gives kids an avenue to come to the races. A couple speakers are there, and they talk about job opportunities. So there'll be military people there to help with, military questions of it. Kids thinking about going to the service and study, right out into the job market, which sometimes can be a little tough. And NHRA is good about veterans things. They try to honor veterans and the first responders and everything. And that's another thing that's great about our racing. All of it, all across all portions of it. They understand the first responders, veterans, and that's really a close to my heart that I really appreciate that everybody does. It's just sometimes a veteran, we take them for granted. Of course, we take a lot of things for granted, but we take them for granted that they're protecting us, taking care of us, and protecting our country, so we get to do this sport, and that's what's really great, being able to do what we do. No other country has this. A couple, England and Australia, but Vietnam, where I was at, no drag racing there, and no drag strips. Trust me. So,
yeah, they're not known for their hot rods over there.
A little bit in the Mideast, there's a couple in there in the Mideast and stuff, but drag racing is out there, but it's not everywhere. Every country don't understand it. So we have that luxury, and which is exciting.
Well, Redman, you'd mentioned that I come from the world of professional wrestling. And back in the day, we used to have this thing called the Monday Night Wars. That's when the WWF and WCW, World Championship Wrestling, for those new fans out there, younger fans out there, don't know what that is, but they were going neck and neck. In 2026, drag racing might have its own version between the National Hot Rod Association and the International Hot Rod Association.
No, it's going to be a little exciting. I think there's room for everything. I think we need racing of all aspects. There's other organizations, maybe not as big, PDARA, and there was, I think, a WDRA, and used to be, we had the AHRA. Back in the day, there was 3 sanctioning bodies, full-blown big sanctioning bodies. And I think it's good for the sport. There should be chances to go wherever, especially with travel and expenses. Maybe you can make 3 races on the inside over here, maybe, and not 100 miles away. You can do a couple races on the I side. I saw a guy said it's not so much wars. I think it's competition. I think the competition will be good. I hope it stays clean. I hope it don't get nasty. I know a lot of people like to put stuff in there and stir the pot per se, but both organizations have got room to grow, and there's great people on both sides. I know there's a lot of skepticism right now on the one organization, but they're trying, and that's what we need. We need trying, not we're losing. Look how many tracks closed.
I think
we lost a lot of tracks.
Real nice with the IHRA side of it. They are investing back in some of those tracks, purchasing those properties, reopening those things, massive makeovers, which is beautiful to see.
Right.
But for, the NHRA, the more established classic, you were talking earlier about the television distribution and what a tremendous avenue that is to reach new fans and all that. So, a very powerful tool for them. Any advice for each that you would like to share, about how maybe they can stay unique? But again, while each growing the sport itself.
I think that, if they would run their own program, all right, they're the same, and maybe keep some things as the same, but you have your own little twist, as they call it. It's like back to the sport you're in. What's that? TNA? It's got the 6-sided
Right,
ring,
yeah, they
right?
did
It's still
Yep.
wrestling compared to the 4-sided ring. You know, it's like remember there was some boxing where you always had the standard red gloves, and then somebody'd wear white, and it's you know, boxing is another sport. Look how much that has had different. Well, I guess sanctioned bodies per se,
yeah,
you
it's a
know.
complete mess.
Yeah, and I think drag racing can be the same. I think one thing I'd like to see them both do, make it some of the things they can mesh on and help the racer. In other words, one of the things I always said is their number. See, you get by a permanent number. Well, back in the old days, you had to have a number for one group and then a number for another, and you had to block it out. Well, your number more or less is your identification. Nobody else has got that number as long as you keep it.
Mm-hmm.
So who's going to have it over there if you got a whole different number system? So it's not going to make no difference. It's just a little subtle, less expense on the guy. Yeah, it might be only $30, $40, whatever it may be. But $30, $40 goes in that gas tank to get to a race.
That could be an entry somewhere.
Yes.
You know?
And I think subtle things like that, the chassis, I like to see them get close on the chassis, that all cars are equal and safe together, no matter where they go, which side of the fence they run on. That, you know, if you run these two sanction bodies, you can pretty well guarantee that car is good to go. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, you still do the spot checks to make sure they got it, but you know it's good to go. And it's just little things like that I think they could work together on, and then have their subtle changes, you know, maybe their point structure, whatever it may be, their payouts, however they run their program, what they want to run at their program can be different, you know.
I think one of the points you're really making here, the competition is going to be good.
Right.
It's going to be great for the sport, but at its very core, for both of those top organizations, they got to remember to put the drivers, the crews, and the fans first.
Right. And I think that's what we need, is the entertainment part. Like we say, we're in the entertainment business now too. It's not just two cars going down the track like it used to be. It used to be drag racing was bring what you brung and let's see who's the baddest. And now it's got to be more entertainment, because people, you know, are going and coming out in droves to see this. And every sport's entertainment, no matter what sport you're in. You know, you used to say wrestling, you know, and I'd say, you know, it's entertainment. You know, they'll save themselves. They're entertainers. And that's what we're into. We're entertaining, plus we're racing. NASCAR, same thing. NASCAR is entertaining, and, you know, they're racing, but they're still, it's an entertainment you're going to and paying your dollars to go see, you know. So I think there's room for everybody. I really do. And I hope it don't get nasty. I hope they can work together. I know I've heard scuttlebutt on one side, you know, and I've heard scuttlebutt on the other. And to me, it's like me, I'm in a unique position. Kind of, I don't per se belong to anybody. I'm kind of like a hired, a gun per se to help. I'm just there to help. I'm not working for an organization. I park the rigs is what I do now. And it's a job I love. I love helping the racers get parked, get settled in where they feel comfortable, and then they can go do their thing and get off on a good foot, no matter which organizations they work for. I would never say nothing bad about no organization. Yeah, they all got their little twerps, but to me, they've both been good. They're both, NHRA has been fabulous to me. I can never
Mo racing is good racing.
More racing's good racing, and it gives you an alternative. You know, it's another sport I'll throw in there just for giggles is bowling. You know, you could be, what was it, scratch league. Well, you had to be a pretty daggone good bowler to bowl scratch league, or you bowled in the handicap league, which that's where I stayed, because, you know, I could slip up in the scratch league and sub, but I wasn't that great to run with them dogs, you know. So it's good to have entertainment and have it spread around to where racers can say, you know, I can't run that race, but maybe I can go over here and run this one and make a few bucks. You know, the same way bracket racing. There's no difference in any part of it.
Well, I think that's going to about wrap things up for this episode of Redman in the House. It's a pocket. He's inspired me, though. Next week, we sit down to record. Of course, we're going to talk about that last-minute preparations as you head off to Indy for that big induction. Future Your Hall of Famer right here, ladies and gentlemen. But we're going to call next week's episode Showbiz. We're going to talk about putting the pizzazz back in the sport of drag racing, from, gimmicking the ring names, whatever, for the car, for the drivers, bringing the character and the story back. We invite everybody to join us for that. Anything, Redman, you like to add before we get out of here?
Well, I'm looking forward to 2026. I'm hoping to get to work a few. I don't know. I'm hoping, health stays good and everything. I can go. I worked 8 this year, spread myself a little more out than I usually do, but I'm hoping to be out there. I love what I do. Like I said, I love the sport. The sport's the main thing to me. All the hoopla, the outside forces, that's them, not me. I'm there for the racer and help park the rigs and get that part of the job done for the folks so that they get off on a good foot. And, I've loved it. Like I said, I started in 71. So what is that? 54 here, like I said. And
longer than I've been alive.
Yeah. And I actually went to my first race before we leave in 1963. So I've been around it somewhere since then.
There we go. Well, again, we'd like to thank everybody for joining us on this episode of Redman in the House. It's a podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share all of our amazing content. We're just getting underway on our journey. We're going to keep it coming at you. We look forward to seeing you right here again on the next go around. All right, again, Redman in the House. It's a podcast.
See ya.